Hello, today I'll be presenting on economic size, change, and composition of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. This is part 3 of a group project by Tanner Fuller, Manthan Gajera, and Matthew Bodine. We are Master of Urban Planning students at Texas A&M University. So we'll start off with an overview of the economic base theory. It states that a region's wealth derives from the industries that attract financial resources from outside the region. This consists of basic sector or exporting industries. Nussbaum called basic sector businesses town builders, and then there's non-basic sector or local industries, which Nussbaum called town fillers. So a few examples of basic sector industries would include manufacturers, hotels, large universities, and non-basic sector examples would include grocery stores, repair shops, tailors, real estate brokers. Essentially, the basic sector includes both goods and services which leave the region, as well as goods and services purchased within the region by people who are from out of town. Non-basic activities are goods and services both produced in the region and purchased by local residents. The location quotient can be described as the ratio of an industry's share of regional employment over the share of national employment, or comparing it to a benchmark region. So the location quotient identifies an area's industrial specialization relative to a benchmark region. The location quotient can then be used to calculate the number of jobs in an industry that are considered basic employment or exporting. The location quotient is used to create an economic profile for a region, showing the industries that are critical to the local economy. Observing location quotients over time will give some insight into whether a regional industry is losing ground or gaining in strength. As you can see in this table here on the right side of this slide, a common method in the United States of determining industries and industry sectors is the NAICS code, which is the North American Industry Classification System. The 2-digit NAICS code provides these high-level kind of overview industries, as you can see listed here on the right, that help to categorize different businesses and make it easy to perform a location quotient analysis. Next is the importance of the benchmark region that's chosen. In order to calculate a location quotient, you need both the study area as well as a benchmark region to compare to the study area. The results change based on the benchmark region chosen, so it is critically important to choose it wisely. Generally, a more self-sufficient benchmark region is a better reference region, meaning that for calculating location quotients, larger geographic areas such as states or the entire nation are preferred. The smaller region should always be a part of the benchmark region as well. We have chosen the state of Georgia as the benchmark region for our economic analysis of Athens-Clarke County. You can see in the map here on the right, Athens-Clarke County is located where that star is, and is located within the state of Georgia, which serves as our benchmark region. So this was data was obtained from the U.S. Census Bureau's OnTheMap application for both Athens-Clarke County as well as the state of Georgia for 2010 and 2019. This first table here shows the employment data, the location quotient, and then the basic employment and non-basic employment for the year 2010. The next slide will contain 2019. So a few highlights from this data: there are 6 basic sector industries, or industries that have a location quotient greater than 1 for Athens-Clarke County. These are manufacturing, real estate rental and leasing, educational services, healthcare and social assistance, accommodation of food services, and public administration. The largest location quotients are educational services with a location quotient of 2.53 and healthcare and social assistance with a location quotient of 1.313. The strongest specialization by far is educational services due to Athens-Clarke County being home to the University of Georgia. The major employers that explain the other basic sector industries we see may include the Piedmont Athens Regional Hospital and St. Mary's Healthcare System, which both provide healthcare services to Athens as well as the surrounding region. As well as Caterpillar, a company that produces construction equipment, has a manufacturing plant in Athens, which may explain the manufacturing portion having a location quotient greater than 1. So this next table is similar to the previous one, but shows the location quotients for the year 2019, so a 9-year difference, nearly 1 decade from the previous table, you'll see that educational services again has the largest location quotient by far, actually increasing from 2.53 to 2.712 from 2010. Although the employment in Athens-Clarke County actually decreased in educational services by 738 from 2010 to 2019. The reason that the total employment in this industry decreased, but the location quotient increased, can be explained by the fact that Georgia, as a state, added 715,835 jobs from 2010 to 2019. This was a 19% increase, while the state's educational services employment only increased by 5,128 jobs, or 1.3%. Thus, the location quotient became larger for Athens-Clarke County, despite having a slight decrease in regional employment. 3 sectors had location quotients. There were 3 sectors that had location quotients above 1.0 in both 2010 and 2019, and they're all connected to the university. These are real estate and rental and leasing, educational services, and accommodation and food services. I'll go a little bit more detail into this in the following slides. Healthcare and social assistance, manufacturing, and public administration no longer have location quotients above 1.0 in 2019, although they did in 2010. And all 3 saw a regional decrease in employment from 2010. So these 2 charts here will display the Athens-Clarke County employment by percentage compared to Georgia employment in 2010 on the left and in 2019 on the right, providing a very easy overview of how the region compares to Georgia and giving a little bit a different view, a little bit better context visually for the location quotients from the previous slides. Number 53, NAICS code 53 is real estate rental and leasing. Number 61 is educational services. Number 72 is accommodation and food services. All 3 of these economic strengths for Athens-Clarke County can be reasonably connected to the presence of the University of Georgia. Educational services, of course, would be those directly employed by the university. Real estate rental and leasing includes leasing agents, property managers, those who work for the many apartment complexes that house the university students. And accommodation and food services provide dining options to students and lodging for visitors to the university. The weakest industries, those with location quotients, with the lowest location quotients, are management of companies and enterprises with a location quotient of 0.239, mining, quarrying, and oil and gas extraction with a location quotient of 0.215, and agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting with a location quotient of 0.227, all of these being the 2019 location quotients. This really goes to show that the local economy is heavily dependent on the university, and the area is neither a corporate hub nor a major site of primary resource extraction or of food production. This is a chart showing the Athens-Clarke County, Georgia employment change from 2010 to 2019 by 2-digit NAICS code. So a couple of highlights here. The largest employment gains were in wholesale trade, NAICS code 42, finance and insurance, NAICS code 52, and accommodation and food services, NAICS code 72. The largest decreases were in educational services, NAICS code 61, healthcare and social assistance, NAICS code 62, and public administration, NAICS code 92. This aligns fairly well with the location quotients we just reviewed, as wholesale trade's location quotient increased to more than 1.0 from 2010 to 2019. It went from being below 1.0 to being above 1.0 for the wholesale trade industry. Accommodation and food services saw an increase in its location quotient as well, while healthcare and social assistance and public administration both saw their location quotients fall below 1.0. So there are 4 basic assumptions of the location quotient method that really need to be taken into consideration when we assess the validity of the location quotient and how it applies to Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. So the first one is a constant consumption pattern assumption. This means that the demand for all goods and services is the same in the study region and in the benchmark region. We know that this is not met for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, because a town of primarily college students will have a greater demand for certain goods and services such as food or bars, and less for things like healthcare or long-term care. The second assumption is the constant labor productivity assumption. This assumes that workers are equally productive in the study region and in the benchmark region. While this is never perfectly true, it is likely close enough between Athens-Clarke County and the state of Georgia for our purposes. Assumption number 3 is no cross-hauling. Cross-hauling describes the fact that a region simultaneously exports and imports the same goods and services. The location and quotient in assuming no cross-hauling assumes that local demand is first met through local production. Of course, this is never perfectly true either. Not necessarily all people from Athens will get their education at the University of Georgia, although many likely do. So again, not a perfect assumption for our case. Number 4 is the self-sufficiency of the benchmark region. This assumes that the benchmark region consumes all of what is being produced and neither exports nor imports. We know that this is not true for Georgia. Georgia both exports things to other states and countries, as well as imports things. So even though the location quotient provides a quick, easy way to get a high-level overview of Athens-Clarke County's economic size, change, and composition, it is imperfect, and its limitations must be acknowledged in any conclusions that we attempt to draw. For example, many college students who live in the area receive money from their parents who live elsewhere. So this spending may be classified as local when in fact the money originates from outside the region. The location quotient can be accepted generally as a nice snapshot of the local economy, but should not be used to draw definitive conclusions without incorporating a solid knowledge of the local economy and any unique factors that may be at play. So this slide compares the location quotients of Athens-Clarke, Georgia to other regions whose economies are heavily reliant on a public university, specifically Brazos County, Texas, the home of Texas A&M University, and Tuscaloosa County, Alabama, the home of the University of Alabama. You can see that Athens-Clarke County has the largest location quotient in 5 industries, which are highlighted in green on this table, with wholesale trade standing out among these as the only industry for which the location quotient is greater than 1, being 1.06 in Athens-Clarke County, but is also less than 1 in both of the other comparison counties. Here you'll find the sources that were used in this presentation. And finally, the analysis settings used for the US Census Bureau's OnTheMap application, which can be used to replicate the results of this study for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. Thank you for listening.